Hey everybody, Rob D'Alessio, Taste of Retirement. Today what we're doing is Ahi Tuna Poke. We're doing it nacho style, but instead of tortilla chips, we're using potato chips. Come on, let me show you how it's done. All right, Ahi Tuna Poke. You've heard a lot of people call it a variety of things. Some people call it pokey, some people call it poke, some people call it poke. I don't really care. I call it delicious. And so what we're doing is we're using an ahi tuna. This is about 2 pounds. And so it's got to be sushi grade. So this is ahi tuna. Ahi refers to, it's just a Hawaiian word, but it refers to either yellowfin or big eye or maybe even bluefin, which is like the granddaddy of them all. This one here is a yellowtail. It's absolutely wonderful. We've got 2 pounds. Now what you do is you put it in the freezer for a little while. You don't want to get it frozen. You do not want to do that. But you want to get it as cold as you can so when you dice it up in little squares, it makes life easier. Then we've got some avocados. Now, if you've picked out avocados before, when you're looking for one that you want to use today, you want it to have a little bit of give to it. If it has a lot, then it's going to be real brown on the inside. You don't want that. If it's hard as a rock, well, then you're going to make the poke in a few days. Then we've got some green onions that we're gonna mix in, but we're also gonna use for garnish. Those are sliced on the bias very thinly at an angle. And then what we have is a hot honey. We've got some Korean chili flakes, because you know how we do, right? We kick things up a notch around here. Toasted sesame oil, rice wine vinegar. We've got some Gochujang sauce, and we've got some KimChili sauce. So it's really nice little rich flavor to it. Then we've got some soy sauce. Now, when I use soy sauce in something like this, I tend to use a gluten-free one. And you can get aminos, which will taste just like soy sauce. I just don't need the extra gluten. It's not like I'm anti-gluten or anything like that. I think there's a time and a place for it. But then we've got the tuna. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with the dry ingredients here, right? Which is the tuna and the avocado. We're gonna dice them up. I'm gonna dice them very fine because in this, what I would use it for probably is just to eat it out of a bowl. Sometimes people will put a base of rice down there too. We're not doing that today, but you can, or you can even make ahi tuna nachos. So just start cutting it, and you're gonna wanna cut against the grain so it'll hold up a little bit better for you. But you also, when you're slicing, you wanna make sure you do nice, smooth strokes. So one thing I wanna tell you is, use a smooth edge knife. You don't want to use a serrated edge because it's just going to rip up that flesh, right? You don't want that to happen. So just nice smooth. You go 1 stroke in, 1 stroke out. Then you've got your slice. You literally could just eat this right like this and it would be absolutely delicious. You could cut it bigger into steaks and you could sear it. I love a good poke. I love it. It's really light. It's the Hawaiian snack. It's famous. But like I said, you want to make sure that you're cutting it to where it's going to be the size that you like. If you like really big chunks, cut big chunks. If you like smaller chunks, which I tend to, cut the smaller chunks. And it goes a long way. You see that's giving away a little bit there at the end. You know what's cool when you're making a poke, you can kind of make it whatever you want it to be. What I mean is, obviously there's going to be a lot of Asian flavors in a traditional one. It comes from Hawaii. There's a lot of Asian influence there, but you can do other things too, right? What's stopping you? You can throw in some Latin flavors, maybe some type of fajita seasoning, and just a variety of different flavors to make it more versatile for you. You can even have tobiko flakes on top, which is seaweed, different things like that. It's absolutely fantastic. So now we're gonna dice the avocado. We've already checked to make sure it's the ripeness that we want. Be very, very careful with this, but make sure you have a sharp knife. You wanna go in through the halfway point, and there's a pit in there, right? So you can feel that pit and it'll stop you from going all the way through. Perfect, and then there's the pit, right? So instead of digging it, you wanna maximize all that pulp that you can get. So you take the butt of the knife and you go in perpendicular to it, and then you twist. It'll just pop right out, okay? So then what I do to dice it easier, faster, is I go in, be careful again, and you do strips with your knife. And again, whatever thickness that you want. And I absolutely love avocados. Then you go the other way, so then that way you've got that dice going. And so when you take the spoon, they'll just come out diced. And you've got pieces. And so we're gonna do that with 3 avocados. You can do as many or as few avocados as you like. Now we've got the tuna and we've got the avocado all diced up. You just want to fold it together a little bit because you don't want to bruise or mess up that meat, right? It's got a nice cubed texture to it. So just kind of fold it around, and then if you push too much, you'll end up smushing the avocado. You certainly don't want to do that either. So just keep folding it just so it's just incorporated just for a little bit. And then what you're going to do is you're going to mix together all of the wet ingredients. We've got a big mixing bowl here. So we've got the soy sauce going in. And then we've got the KimChili sauce and the Gochujang sauce. We put those in. The rice wine vinegar, and what that's gonna do, that's gonna add some acidity to it, so it'll have a little bite, little kick to it. Then we have the toasted sesame oil, has a really rich aromatic smell, flavor to it. And then of course, SWD style is where we kick it up, right? The Korean chili flakes. And then we've got that hot honey. Why use regular honey when you can have hot honey, of course. Mix that in. And try to get as much of that out of that bowl as possible. Now, you could cheat a little bit or do yourself a favor and heat up the honey, and it'll be much more liquefied and easier to get out of that bowl. So you've got all those, mix those up. And then what we want to do is, when we toss in the wet ingredients with the tuna and the avocado, we're going to toss in some of the green onions. We want to hold some out because we want that for a garnish at the end. It smells so good. So just now that that's all mixed up, just pour that in there. Make sure you get all of it. We don't want to leave any of that happiness out. And then let's say about half of the green onions, whatever it may be. All right, and then fold it all together. Now the one thing you're gonna wanna do is you can't serve this immediately. So you're gonna wanna let this sit in the fridge for a few hours and let all those flavors just incorporate with each other. I promise it's way better if you do it that way. All right. So now it's all mixed up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna just put it in the fridge for a couple of hours. We'll cover it with a little plastic wrap, put it in the fridge for a couple of hours, then we'll come back and we'll wrap a bow on this. There you have it, Ahi Tuna Poke. We made it nacho style with potato chips. You can do it however you like. Base of rice, anything you want to do. Of course, Taste of Retirement style, we made ours a little bit more spicy. You don't have to do that. Click the link below, like and subscribe, and you'll see amazing content just like this. I'm Rob D'Alessio, and this was the Taste of Retirement.